I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned nothing. I learned absolutely nothing because I spent all week just sitting in my room, rocking back and forth, crying myself to sleep. Because the world is on fire. Yay!
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Craig. Film enjoy living in Hampshire, England, alongside Josh Hartner, who apparently just lives a few miles up the road. And yeah, I haven't heard this many adult men cry over Shrek since whenever I made you guys watch Shrek Retold. There are a lot of Shrek tears going around at the moment. Lots of green, greasy Shrek tears, and I think they all just need to chill the fuck out because Shrek just looks slightly different. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah, I avoided that because I couldn't. I just don't have it in me for that anymore.
Well, they obviously use some sort of like modelling technique because their old stuff is like out of date and trashed, and yeah, it's fine. Very, very, very slightly different character designs, and people are just losing their minds over Shrek.
I'm Tyler Hosley, and Discord confuses me, and sometimes I like to be peed on.
Oh, right.
Craig Bots gonna do that for you.
Appreciate it.
Gonna learn.
I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and this week I have just about recovered enough from the last Breen Fest that we had that pretty much put me at death's door. I messaged the guys last week to say I don't think I can make the recording, and then I passed out for about 10 hours. So I just want to thank Craig and Dave once again for that. And this is Raiders of the Podcast.
The same thing happened to us. We all just we were all just out for 10 hours after the Breen.
Yeah.
Just it takes so much excellence.
I mean, you're welcome though. Yay!
Yeah.
Huzzah!
Thanks. I watched just a few things this week. Little Bites is on Shudder. It is I think it's the third horror feature from. I'm going to keep calling him Rob Zombie's brother, and Tyler will correct me. Spider One. Spider One, not his birth name. But it's quite good. But I'm still not really in a rush to watch his other stuff. Have you seen any of his other stuff, Timo?
I saw the one with Scout Taylor Compton, which I don't remember the name to, but it was okay.
Like Bury the Bride, I think.
Yes, that was the one. It was okay.
That's being very, very kind.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why
I'm a kind man.
That's true.
He's taken tips from his brother because all three of his films feature his partner in what I think is the lead role as Chrissy Fox.
Well, if it's good enough it's good enough for Chrissy. All right. Although
exactly.
She doesn't have a vowel in her first name.
Yeah.
K-R-S-Y. That's weird.
So is it Kirsty?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Kirsty Fox and Spider One and Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon Zombie. So there you go. It's just a nice little, a bit different from the Waltons, but I'm sure they all shout goodnight to one another, and just Rob shouts when the thermostat's been up too high. Like, Spider One, turn the damn thermostat down, the witches are burned! Vicky's just in the next room wondering what the fuck I've just been shouting. But anyway, back to Little Bites. I thought it was quite good.
Did I ever tell you I knew a Walton?
No, like an actual, just someone named Walton or someone from...
No, a Hamner. Somebody from the family the Waltons is based on.
Oh.
Folks still mail them... Yeah. Folks still mail them money.
What?
Because they see reruns of the show and they think that they're still living poor on this mountain.
Oh, wow.
So folks will just mail them money.
Sometimes it's the little things that keep you going, really, isn't it? Someone's still mailing a Walton money.
Pretty good.
I quite liked Little Bites, by the way, but it's a Kevin 7. But I do think I think there's a bit more to it than I expected, and in a really good way. It takes a basic premise. So the plot description or the summary says it's something like a mother lets a monster, feed on her nightly to protect her daughter. That is kind of the plot, but it's a bit misleading. It's not really as simple as that. And I liked it. I think it sort of explored the obviously there's the idea of what parents will do for the children, sacrifices they make and all that, but there's also the what happens when someone's had a toll taken on their health, and how much worse that can be when the closest people around them aren't necessarily the support for them. And yeah, it was quite impressive, and it had a nice balance between not feeling the need to deliver gore gags every 5 minutes, but not leaving you without anything. Was good. And also bonus points for not only having Barbara Crampton and Heather Langenkamp in small roles, but having them in roles that aren't just having them basically pop their faces on screen so their names can be used in all the marketing and they can get more horror fans to watch them. Like, they have Heather Langenkamp's a kind of one scene cameo, but it's actually really good. And Crampton comes in a few times and is just really good on there. So yeah, I like that. The other end of the spectrum, the things we have to do sometimes. I watched Magic Mike's Last Dance tonight. It's rubbish. Don't listen to Tyler. It's really rubbish. Tyler?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I actually really liked the first one, but I thought the second one was fucking garbage. So maybe it's because I hated the second one so much that the third one was tolerable. But I liked the first one. Second one sucks. Third one is just okay. But
I mean,
I really like the first one.
How
First
much
one's a solid movie.
Yeah, the first one's good. How much Channing Dong is on screen in 3? Chan Dong.
I mean, it's
Channing
I
Dong.
I don't know the I'm not aware of the show, but I've heard from people who said it's basically an advert for the show, like the stage show. So you get like Channing's there as the the super player on the bench. You know what I mean? The star. I'm going to say star quarterback as if I know any of these terms, but you know what I mean. He's the one when they need a big moment. Channing steps up. Most of the movies like, I don't dance, and then he dances, and then for 20 minutes, no, I've given up dancing, and then he dances for a few minutes. It's that kind of thing. But
there's an advert for the live show.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay.
But
I don't believe it that you don't know anything about the live show. I can picture you sat next to Vicky, holding her handbag, passing her tissues when she needs to wipe her brow.
I'm glad you said wipe her brow.
Yeah, I was careful there.
She never really takes her handbag anywhere when we go out. She's just like, put that in your pocket for everything. I am the handbag. That's what's
That does make your relationship make a lot more sense. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like posting things into you in a really disturbing way.
Yeah.
I need to switch vibes.
Towards the end of the evening, just started rummaging in my pockets. Like, what are you doing? You've still got the keys. What's up? I'm the handbag. And in a very different tonal shift, I also finally got around to The Brutalist, which I really liked it. But again, there's no need for this thing to be 3.5 hours. There's just no need. But it's very good. I might be able to get around to some of the other big contenders that I've yet to see for the Oscars. I'm not sure. But Adrian Brody, as annoying as he can be off screen with some of his chat, he's really good in The Brutalist. Guy Pearce is fantastic. There's Felicity Jones, a supporting role. She's really good, and it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting way of looking at a subject or something quite timely, really, that has been covered a lot, but with a slightly different viewpoint. Like it really gives that idea of the repercussions of losses in terms of people's achievements and in terms of skill sets and people who've had to move or save their life, save their family, and start over from scratch in places where they're unknown and usually it's not undervalued. I was going to say when other people. When you can surprise other people, do you know what I mean? When they don't think you have whatever in you, and you can surprise them. That I've lost words this evening, so that's good for a podcast. And I've gone with that. And they just they have nothing, and they're viewed by others as sort of having no intrinsic value other than a labourer or something who's just a burden. From wartime to any other sort of mass event, you will have this upheaval for individuals and families and countries. I think The Brutalist is really good at making you think about that other angle. In this case, it's from the after effects of the Holocaust. So I really liked it. Did any of you guys see the Brutalist yet?
I have not
Not
yet.
yet.
I'm really stoked for that one.
Nope, not yet. I haven't had time. It's 3 hours.
That's the thing, and I was looking up like all of the other Best Picture nominees that I hadn't seen. I was trying to see if any were showing locally and what the timings were, and the others are like 2 hours 10, 2 hours 20. I believe The Brutalist is the longest one, but it was it was available for renting out at home, and I got around to it. But yeah,
It'd be nice to see it in the cinema, but Brady Corbett's going from cinema to cinema with huge, great 70mm cans of film trudging across the world.
Well, I don't often mention other aspects, but there are some obviously fantastic shots in there, considering it's about in a way the architecture and that as well. But there's also really good music by, I think it's Daniel Bloomberg. I don't know if he's done much else that I would know, whether in films or just other musical outlets. But it's a really interesting, I think, and really good film score. So I recommend that as well. But that is me.
I went to the theater and I saw The Monkey. Going in, I was not expecting a really goofy, unhinged comedy with gore, and I say that in the best possible way. This movie was great. It was fucking hilarious. Kills were awesome. The dialogue cracked me up. There's so many funny lines in this movie. It's another banger from Oz Perkins. Just one of the best Stephen King adaptations I've seen in years. I mean, Stephen King's adaptations are like super hit or miss with me, but I would put this one almost at the top. It's hilarious. Really, really like that one a lot. And besides that, I haven't really been watching much else. I've been watching Love on Netflix, the Judd Apatow rom-com series with Gillian Jacobs, who Gillian Jacobs is something special. I absolutely love her. She's adorable. I love her and everything. I love her and everything. She's great here. Paul Rust is really funny. I didn't know he wrote a lot of these episodes too. He's a funny dude. I liked him in I Love You, Beth Cooper as well. He plays the same character that he did in that, but he works well in this series. It's just really good. It's a really sweet little rom-com series. I'm starting season 3 shortly, so yeah, I'm a fan of that one. And yeah, that's pretty much me for the week.
I need to give Love another go because I love the first season and I love Gillian Jacobs, but the second season really lost me. So I didn't get anywhere near the end of the second season. So
I'm gonna say
now,
if you dropped off early, I would say go back and watch it because it's really good. Second season is almost just as good as the first, in my opinion.
all right. I'll definitely go back to it just for Gillian. I watched a few things for this week's Classier Than Kevin. I'm no longer satisfied with classy like Kevin or even classy as Kevin. I'm going for Classier Than Kevin.
Reach for that moon, man.
Yeah,
Reach for the moon.
yeah. Why? Classiest motherfucker on this whole podcast. Started with Robert Altman's 2001 period murder mystery Gosford Park, which I hadn't seen before. I really like that. It's got a hell of a cast. Like you watch it, and during the first 20 minutes, there's someone amazing is popping up. Just faces popping up everywhere. Like, oh, I love that person. Oh, I love that actor. I love that actor. It's just absolutely packed with fantastic actors. It's an almost perfect cast except for Stephen Fry, who is fucking horrible and stinks up every single appearance, every single scene where he appears is awful. But everyone else is really good. It's got a very funny script. It's really bitchy. I feel like I don't really know Robert Altman as much as I thought I did because he just revels in the bitchiness, and he's got perfect actors for bitchiness. He's got who's the Withnell and I guy? Richard E. Grant. He's got Richard E. Grant being bitchy, which is just his default mode, which he does beautifully. And he's got Charles Dance being bitchy, and Charles Dance is fucking... He doesn't have that many lines in this film, but he's fucking hysterical. There's a scene where his wife has just found a freshly murdered corpse, and she's crying, and he's just like, calm down, dear, we're not Italian. In that, that very classic Charles Dance, cool and cold kind of way. It's just a really, really great cast. The murder mystery part, it's a very minor element because I don't think Altman's at all interested in it. It's a rich people got killed by some poor people and he deserved it, basically. But I think Altman's just a lot more interested in the power structures in the film, not just between the employers and the employees, but power structures within power structures, where they work in the house, which member of the family they work for. They all have these different levels and they all use them to their advantage. And it's just a really interesting, upstairs, downstairs kind of observational comedy more than it is a great murder mystery. Everyone seen that?
Yeah.
I have.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to get really classy, now you need to follow it up with Jean Renoir's The Rules of the Game, which heavily inspired it.
Well, maybe that's coming next.
Is it?
Did you ever think about that? No. But
Yeah,
it could have been.
Uh-huh.
It could have been.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what was it called again?
Rules of the Game.
Rules of the Game. Right. I'll add that to the list. And then I watched. Okay, I'm going for an accent. I'm going for an accent now. Ossessione, which is Luchino Visconti's 1943 adaptation of The Postman Always Rings Twice. That was solid. It's I enjoyed it, but it is too long at 2 hours 20 minutes. That could have been a really sharp, nasty little noir at 90 minutes, and I think it's sold as a noir. I don't buy it as one, and I think it's sold as kind of, by the fans that have come afterwards, they sort of class it as an early neo-realist Italian film, and I kind of get that in terms of how it's shot and the locations where it's shot, but it's really just it's pure melodrama. It's not a noir, not a neo-realist film. It is pure bloated melodrama, and the cast are really good. There's an actress called Clara Calame, who is who would get me into all sorts of trouble, and Massimo Girotti, who is really plays one of my favourite kind of film noir archetypes, which is the kind of hunky, lovelorn idiot. And he plays that really well. They're really good. They sell all the parts where, you know, they're scheming and plotting together. It just lacks any urgency. It keeps trading in any sort of urgency he has for just sort of like meandering, you know, up, like they have these narrative side roads that the characters go up that are meant to tell you a bit more about them, and they don't really go anywhere, and it just takes you away from the central relationship is the thing that works about the film, which is a shame. But it is solid. I really, really love those two main performances. Anyone seen that?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, Dave.
I can't remember.
I have not.
Not a fan, Dave?
No, I like it quite a bit. I think it's an interesting take on it. Especially how it was made, because it was made under the fascist regime in Italy.
Oh.
And they released it. And then it got banned immediately. Because he told them it was this innocent murder mystery. And yeah.
It was considered quite filthy at the time. Quite degenerate, I believe. Yeah. The print is pretty fucked up, even on BFI player. It's not like some YouTube job. It's the best they could get their hands on, and it's pretty ratty. So yeah, I can imagine this was shoved away for a while.
Well, they destroyed almost every copy. I think Visconti had one duplicate negative that he got somebody to smuggle out, and that's what everything has been taken from since.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I liked it. I just too much melodrama, and I just wanted like tight little nasty noir. Great performances though, really great performances. And then one more, staying so classy. I'm so classy, guys. I'm gonna say it's Robert and not Robert Bresson. Existential crime drama Pickpockets. I really thought I was going to love this one because I love anything that shows criminals doing their thing. Anything that shows someone who is... I tell you guys this all the time, but anyone who chooses to step off the path and become an outlaw, I love that shit. And I thought I was going to really love Pickpocket because I only seen one other Bresson film, and that was A Man Escaped, which I loved. And I love how like spare Robert Bresson stuff is. Like it is like bare bones. He doesn't fuck about. He doesn't overcook anything. And I really thought I was going to love this one, but I would say I admired it when I enjoyed it because the pickpocket scenes are phenomenal because they all play out like mini heists. Is fantastic. It's just a joy to watch them, and each one is so full of tension. Those parts are great, but the human drama in it did not work for me because it feels like it's kind of weighed down by this. There's this one note existential angst that like every single character seems to suffer from. Everyone's one expression and they hold for the entire like 76 minutes of the film. I mean, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it just I'm not buying any emotion from any of it, and I get that the characters, especially the lead, are meant to be a little emotionally dead, but give me one smile in the film, give me something, demonstrates that these characters are human beings. Like, I get how it influenced other great films like Le Samurai and Taxi Driver. I get that, but I didn't particularly enjoy it. It was too austere to invest in. Austere. It just left me cold, and maybe it was meant to. But I'll still keep going with Robert Bresson because I love Man Escapes, but not. I was kind of middling on Pickpocket. Anyone seen that?
No, that's been in the stack for a while though. Just haven't gotten to it.
Well, that's good because then I can just act like I'm right, and I don't have to be corrected.
Huzzah!
Yay! But yeah, that's me. I was real classy. I also watched the silly Josh Hartnett kind of John Wick on a plane, but not as serious. Fight or Flight. It's silly and it's very light and is really quite mean with the violence at points. It's fun. It's like 90 minutes brain off, and you'll have fun with it. There's a whole thing in the third act where one character Toad Venom and is
You dropped out a couple times, so there's a whole thing in
Okay.
the third act. Can you just sorry?
there's a whole thing in the third act where one character ingests a large amount of toad venom for some reason, and just kind of trips out and massacres people with a chainsaw, and it's good fun. But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, it is a total Kevin 7. But if you just want to throw, going to tax you too much on a Friday night, Fight or Flight, and I love for Return of Josh Hart, best actor. But he has an easy charm he uses really well in this. And yeah, that's me.
All right. I didn't watch much. I also watched Little Bites, which, you know, I liked it a lot less than Kevin. It is not it's not good. Like the lead gives a solid performance. Kersey Fox. And the gore effects are okay, but the script is just trash. It is just some of the most shallow bullshit I have ever had to watch, and it drags the whole thing down. I'd be, I'm mildly surprised to learn that it got a Kevin 7, because it's just bullshit metaphors that has nothing to say about anything. It's a waste, because this could have been something special. Like, the idea is there, but instead it's just, it's not like bad. If you want something disposable to watch on a Friday night, that's what it's for, and it's fine. But there could have been something really good there, and we don't get that. Instead, we get, it's fine, I guess. And after Craig told us that he was watching Ossessione, I watched the 1946 version of The Postman Always Rings Twice by Tay Garnett with Lana Turner and John Garfield, and it is a perennial classic for a reason. It is really, it's a good one. It's an interesting take on the material, very different from it's actually quite different from the book, but it's an interesting one. It's an interesting how they got it out by going through the motion picture production code, which, like, there's a lot of shit in this that just totally flies in the face of it. The fact that they got to pull it out, same with Double Indemnity, is mildly shocking. And it's not a movie, but while I'm thinking about The Postman Always Rings Twice, and you want to be really classy and impress people, James and Cain.
Only you, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is for everybody, not just you guys, because Kevin might read it. James and Cain had a book that didn't go published until 2012, called The Cocktail Waitress, and it is, well, it's essentially a reworking of his earlier book, Mildred Pierce, but told from a first person perspective. And as far as I know, it's the only time I can think of where a femme fatale character told it from her point of view. I mean, it's a little stilted at times, but I think it was written in like 1941, maybe later. It was written sometime between 1941 and 1977 when he died. So, it's a little stilted, but that's just the period it was written in. But it's an interesting read. Just saying, if you want a unique noir that I just wanted to look into, This week, we watched the 1949 American romantic drama directed by William Wyler, The Heiress, and the 2011 Brazilian biodrama, Confessions of a Brazilian Call Girl. Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
would you like to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Yeah. I'll go for Tyler's one. I will.
Oh,
I'll rip that band-aid off, baby. It's always kind of fun, actually, most weeks, for me to be watching a film like Confessions of a Call Girl, of a Brazilian Call Girl, and just turn my screen to Vicky and say, "Who do you think picked this one this week?" And she's at a stage now where she can always spot a Tyler pick a mile away. So there you go, T. You have become well known in this household already for your smuts.
huzzah.
So this is based on now I believe this is based on a book that was based on apparently the real life exploits of a young woman who became a very famous call girl as the little surfer girl, and it stars Deborah Sickle as Raquel, and that's really all you need to know, because there are a couple of decent characters sort of fleshing out the cast, and there are decent performances from people there, but everything revolves around Raquel, and it's about her story, and it is, it is, she is the focus of everything. She starts off very shy and timid, and just quickly becomes a very busy call girl who wants to make lots of money and will pretty much do anything the clients ask of them. You see a wide variety of people. Some people wanting peed on, some people just wanting the girl to help them move furniture around, some people wanting to chat about the day. You get this montage, and you get the roller coaster journey of the character, is what I will say.
He started with the P. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of kinks displayed, and he went right to the P. I'm saying, if it awoken something in you, that's weird.
No, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of kinks in all of Tyler's movie choices, so it was just the P moment is one of the more memorable ones. I don't want to give away any other surprises by thinking of anything that might have been more relevant to the plot than this. So I end up, I quite like this, but I kind of have a big problem with it. It's weird in that I like the fact that for a lot of it, the tone is quite upbeat, and it's quite it's one of those like strange underdog overcomes the odds kind of films. That's what it feels like at some points. I would say for about 2/3, and then you have a moment where things don't go as planned and things are bad, and it all aims towards a finale that I'm not going to spoil. But I do think whether it's based on truth or not, and how much of that truth is shown in the source book by the real life Raquel, I think her name is Pacheco. This feels very, very fairy tale like to me in quite a few ways. Like, for a lot of the runtime, the main character is, I mean, she's far too naive at some points, and there are just certain ways that you can imagine things would go for someone putting that amount of work into this work, for however long she wants to do it. You know, she wants to make her money. She wants to be the best of the best of the best. She wants to offer up anything to clients. She wants that. It feels like within the film there aren't enough safeguards around her, and it's just, you know, one step away from things going horribly wrong. And when things don't necessarily go horribly wrong, with factors out with our control, it doesn't feel right. It then feels like, okay, we're seeing this allegedly true story, but like a lot of true stories, we're seeing the version that this person wants to show us, and this is the acceptable stuff, and this is it. We're getting the story, and it is quite the fairy tale for a lot of it. I know it's not all happiness and light, but there's less darkness in here than I would expect for how we see the character behave and how we see her starting point, which is, you know, so far removed from where she ends up that you'd imagine there was way more going on within the steep learning curve section of her new employment. I still, you know, I enjoyed the film though, and again we've spoken about this quite recently because we do a podcast with Tyler. But it's good when it's good when films about sex workers are largely positive about sex work, and that has the right attitude and showing that sex workers work. You know what? I just still that's the there's a to and fro in my mind about this, because that's both a good and a bad thing here, because I expected there to be just a bit more edge to it, and us to see some more unfortunate encounters that would also be, you know, shaping the central character and giving her valuable lessons that she would then carry forward. I would say I didn't get that from this. But as I say, the cast are good. I really liked the lead girl. She was good in the main role, and she did feel like she started as a girl and became, you know, a, a flawed but successful woman at the end, and gets to tell this story. I did like her. I liked the few main supporting characters who end up looming largely in her life for a while. I don't think I've seen anything else from this director, but this is usually when Dave tells me we've covered stuff on the podcast that I've gone blank on. I don't think so. Marcus Baldini, the name didn't ring a bell. I looked through his filmography, nothing stood out. And I wasn't familiar with the writers either, but I accepted that this was adapted from the book, so I put the onus really on the source material for this.
I think this is pretty much the only thing he did.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I think the rest of his stuff is mostly TV. I think this might have actually aired as a TV movie in Brazil also.
All right.
So they handle distribution differently than we do. So,
well, and I think there's a lot to actually like here for showing this kind of story in a certain way. Like I think it has a good balance of not being prudish, but not feeling too overdone and exploitative. But as I say, I really thought there would be a little bit more edge to it, and I'm surprised there weren't some other encounters depicted here. And if the main character has led that fortunate a life, then great, and more power to her. I'd just be very surprised, and it always gave me the impression that we're seeing, you know, an interpretation of the truth that is palatable and better for someone to project to the world, rather than the truth that's closer to the truth. But yeah, I didn't mind it too, even though, I mean, boy, you do send us to some places on the internet. I'm sure at one point I'm
Yeah, he
just going to have a
does.
box at my door and it's going to be someone's vital organs that I've accidentally ordered. I'll just be like, Vicky will say, what happened? I'll be like, 1 minute I was watching Confessions of a Brazilian Call Girl. The next minute I'll put in PayPal details for a liver.
No, chestnut.
I'm gonna jump in. I am very meh on this. The only point I really agree with, well, there's 2 points I agree with Kevin. Deborah Secco is excellent. She's really good with what she's given. The rest of the cast, not so much. The woman that plays her friend, I'm trying to remember the friend's name, and I can't because she was okay, but like there's nothing here. It's not like a good comedy. There's a little humor to be found in some of the montage bits, but like they're just jokes. Raquel isn't really a fully fleshed out character in this. She's just, she has changes, but like she doesn't grow. We don't learn much about her. And it doesn't really get into why the blog and the book were important in Brazil, because it really shed a light on the repressive sexuality that was pretty prevalent in Brazilian culture. Even though they embrace like sexuality for certain things, especially during Carnival for tourism, there was still a lot of issues in Brazil and everywhere. It's not saying, oh, Brazil. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but the book really was important for its time, and still probably. And they don't seem to get that. They seem to think that just having some soft core scenes, because that's literally all this is. It is 109 minutes of soft core scenes with some really, really lame drama thrown in, but it's all weightless. None of it matters. There's no stakes at any point. She doesn't suffer any setbacks or losses. She just trudges on, and it just keeps going, and it's fine. But unless you really want to see like a fantastic performance in Portuguese, I don't see the point in this movie. It's not well made. Like it's shot like a TV movie, which I think it did originally air on TV in Brazil. But it's just because they handle distribution differently than we do. It was still also nominated for I think it actually won. It actually won Best Film at crap, what's it called? Primo Contigo Cinema, I think is what it's called. It's essentially it's essentially like the Brazilian Oscars, I guess. It might be closer to like, the Golden Globes or something. I'm not 100% sure what the direct correlation is. No, I think it's closer to like the Emmys. It did not win the Grande Primo del Cinema. I'm sorry, I can't remember offhand. I should have written it down. That's the Grand Otello. That's their version of the Oscars, run by the Minister of Culture. It didn't win that one. Secco did though, because again, she gives a really good performance, but like she's not given a full character to play. The script is just a lot of fluff. Like why is she and Huddleston like buddies? Like there's no chemistry between the actors. There's no like their relationship as we see it. It's not friendly. It's just client provider, and that's fine. Except then it wants us to think that there's more to it. They keep like winking at a better, bigger story than what we're given, and ultimately that's my problem with it. It's just too much fluff. It's too much light fluff, and there's no stakes. There's no motivating factor, and it doesn't understand why it's telling this story or what's important in this story. So it's fine. God knows we've watched much worse films about prostitution from Tyler. So many worse films about prostitution from Tyler. So I mean it's damning it with faint praise, but it's fine. But I can't recommend it.
You just reminded me that when just to change the subject, when Ossessione, when it finished, old Italian films end the word fine, which is Fine. And I remember that the film, thinking, what did I think of that film? I wasn't that impressed by it, and then it just said fine across the screen. I was like, oh, there we go. You were much more succinct than I would have been.
Yeah, that's it. It's fine. Like, yeah, it's there. It's not worth going to the creepy ass Russian site we all had to watch this on, but it's
I watched it on Prime, baby.
Oh yeah,
not on Prime. I rented it.
I don't think we can rent it here. I don't think I had a choice.
Yeah, I rented it on Prime.
Oh, did you? I searched and it didn't come up on my Roku, so maybe I have a weird setting thing, but okay, well, damn. I'm the only one that risked his shit for this. Never mind then. I can't hold that against it anymore. That was my fuck up. My bad. My bad.
Lucky you, Craig. I watched it on Tyler's dodgy link, and my name's now on a list to go and visit London and try and pelt Zelensky with eggs. So that's just Russian nastiness right there.
Yeah, we're definitely on a list now.
Yeah.
We might get offered jobs in the Trump administration because we went to Russian sites.
I was going to pick on UNT this week and say how much you need to apologise, but our Prime Minister went to your country and offered Trump another state visit on the invite of the man with the furry hat who sits unelected as the figurehead of our country. So we have no room to throw stones in our glass house. Sorry to be a downer.
Thank God! Thank God for New Zealand. Some English-speaking country has to not be terrible. So,
yeah,
good on you, New Zealand. When the nukes fall on the rest of us, may you survive.
Yay! I mean, I'm not there. I'm going to die horribly, but yeah, I'm.
Me too.
I'm glad New Zealand is right.
We'll be gone, and Hobbiton will still exist.
I'm okay
that's
with
pretty
that.
sweet. Yeah,
I made peace with that.
The survivors will live in Hobbiton for so long they won't know that it was ever a film set. New generations just think, that's how we live. That'd be wonderful. Me?
Yeah.
Something like, yep. Kevin, can you get you got the little drum, haven't you? You got access to the little drum sound effect.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. Okay. How many sex worker films is this now? I think we've reached at least a Brazilian.
Oh.
Yes! I can't believe that. Ready for me? That's magnificent. Thank you.
I mean, I almost tried to pull the rug from under your feet and go with.
Eva would have been very, very suitable. Probably more for crickets, but thank you for doing the drums. I appreciate it. I'm more Kevin's side of things. I enjoyed this, but it's
That's not me.
That's Dave. I thought this was kind of good, but when something's good enough, but it can be disappointing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like if it was just trash, I just shrugged my shoulders. But this was good, but not. But there was enough there to make it like a little disappointing. I really, really dug the vibe in the first half of this film. It's very slice of life. But you just spend time with the characters, you spend time in their world, and that pulled me in. I was into it. It reminded me of, I think it was a Dave pick, Working Girls.
Yeah.
Reminded me a bit of Working Girls, and strangely, a bit of Sean Penn's Into the Wild. Because you kind of got this young person who flees quite a comfortable life so they can, go out into the world and choose their own destiny, even if it's in quite naive and selfish ways at times. I actually always thought that film needed Emile Hirsch urinating on Hal Brooks' bare chest. So I feel I've been proven right.
To be fair, you think that in every movie.
They all need it. They all need the credits roll. I need it. So yeah, I really like the vibe. I like that slice of life vibe. The problem in the first half is Deborah Secco, because I do not think she's good in the second half of this film. I'll forget twice the age of the character she's playing. I'll just forget that she could have babysit the kids from Greece. She doesn't sell the character for me at all at that stage. Just kind of naive, shy, inexperienced. It sounds like I'm saying mean things about the actress. Doesn't sell that side of the character, and it really doesn't help that she's 31 years old. But she's not selling the character. I'm enjoying the vibe for the first half, and then when you get about halfway, the character finds her feet and her confidence, and Deborah Secco becomes wholly convincing. She becomes the best thing about the movie. It's a totally different performance, a much, much, much stronger, really impressive performance. But there's this weird crossover. As Secco improves, the slice of life kind of gives way to a very pinned down narrative. It's harsh to call the person's life cliche, but rise and fall has been a major theme in cinema for as long as there has been cinema. So this film became very predictable. It's on rails until the credits. Just on rails. You have seen it before, and it doesn't really matter. But it's sad that it's somebody else's life, and I feel bad calling it a cliche, but I've seen it a million times. It's just this time it happens to be real, and I don't know, the good outweighs the bad in both halves, but there's something that keeps me from really engaging with it in each half, which is a shame. I've got no issues with any performance. I think they're all very authentic. I think the rest of the girls are underwritten again, but I like them. I thought, again, I feel bad calling real human experiences cliche, but one of the characters is an addict, one of the characters is a mother, and that's kind of... They give good, authentic performances, but they are underwritten. And it's a shame, because, they're real people, real stories play out every day, across the world, but they just felt two-dimensional in the writing, which is a shame. I thought the editing within scenes was strong. It was really effective. It's just the story was edited in a way that the narrative felt very rushed. It felt too rushed to be believable, and throwing in your boning montage, it doesn't cut it because it's not giving me enough character. It's not showing me why this character is changing in ways that she is. That was a disappointment. The cinematography is solid, I guess. I mean, there's some of it just looks like a cheap TV movie. There are little bits that look really, really beautiful. There are a couple of scenes with the protagonist leaning out of windows. There's one where she's smoking out of a window with a client, with all kind of the slummy area of the city beyond them, which is a really, really beautiful shot. And there's one of her hanging out of a car window during girls. It's just really evocative. It's got some nice shots. It's well edited. It's well put together, and once Secco gets into the character that she's more suited to, it's I don't know. I just had issues right the way through. I think it does a good job, because I don't know if it stands on sex work as sex work positive, more sex work neutral. It seemed to me it doesn't shy away from some of the strange like dynamics. Like, you know, even the nice customers, they have this kind of subconscious need to degrade her, and she has to accept a certain level of degradation, and they don't shy away from it. It's, I don't know, like, it just, I lost interest when the focus tightened in the back end. It just became a story that I've heard and watched too many times. But lots of good stuff, and yeah, like in the upper, you know, echelon of Tyler prostitute films. It was solid.
So I'm a pull a Dave here, guys. Because I don't get to say this very often, but when we do Twilight, I'll get to say it again. I have read the book that this movie is based on.
Yay! Me too, by the way.
Yes. The Scorpion Sweet Venom. It's very good. It's a really, really good read, and y'all should check it out if you haven't.
I
and
agree.
while the book does have a slightly different tone than the film, it still feels fairly accurate to what's on the page. I mean, it's the same perspective, just both are very diary-like in their approach, which in film translates into a more like montage style, which I dig. The book does have an edgier side that Kevin was hoping for. So if you want a little bit edgier side of the story, Kevin, read the book.
Kevin's had quite enough edging. Thank you very much.
Just edge the fuck out of that book, Kevin. So the book and the movie portray the positive and I mean, guess a kind of negative side to sex work, which I don't have a problem with, because like any job, not every single aspect of it is going to be positive. That's just life, and it never gets too dark, though. I mean, as Kevin said, it feels like it may go down that road at one point, but it never gets too dark, which is fine. I think the cast is great here. Deborah Secco is fantastic. I mean, she really brings it all, and I truly think she captures who Bruno really was as a person. I honestly can't praise her enough. She's fucking excellent. Something else I really liked. I liked how the movie, for the most part, portrays most of the clients as human beings. Some people just like to be peed on, man, and that's okay. It's fine. We all like a little golden showers every once in a while, right? Right? Maybe it's just me, but I really like how it gradually shows the lead character grow self-esteem as the movie goes on with each client she's with. I mean, and I don't feel this filmmaker ever took a male gazy approach to the material at all, which could be very easy to do. It's obviously a very female story, yes, and I think he kept that very female approach, which I thought was great. I just never got that exploitative male gazy to any of the material here, which, like I said, it's great. I like some of the stylistic choices too. Like I like the blog popping up on the screen. It really fit the era of the time too. Just little blog pops up. Blogs were huge in like this 2011 era, so it really fit the time when this movie came out. But yeah, it's good stuff. It feels honest, it feels real, and it has a really good fucking central performance. As I said, I'm a fan. I am a big fan of this one, but you know, I'm easy to please when it comes to sex worker dramas. So there you go.
That's putting it very mildly, bud.
Very, very easy to please.
Okay, that's better.
Just put a prostitute in front of my face and I'm happy. Or a stripper. Just anything.
Shit. Okay, so on the other end, the other film we watched was Craig's pick, and he went classy as fuck. It's the Heiress, the 1949 romantic drama. It's directed by William Wyler. The screenplay is written by Ruth and Augustus Goetz, based on their stage play of the same name, which is in turn an adaptation of Henry James's book Washington Square. It stars Olivia de Havilland, Montgomery Clift, and Ralph Richardson. It is the story of a shy, plain-looking New York heiress who lives with her wealthy father, a doctor, in their prestigious address on Washington Square, trying to the young woman Catherine lacks the social graces. Her father high key hates her. Their widowed aunt lives with her, moves in to try to help Catherine with her social skills. And they attend a ball where Catherine is approached by a young man named Morris. He's handsome, charming, and poor. And Morris proceeds to pursue Catherine, much to Papa's dismay. And what happens after that is, well, that's the story. And I'm not going to spoil the story because it's really good. Like, the book is good if you haven't read the book, and the play is good. The movie takes a more I'm brain farting on the word. A more vague hand. Vague isn't the word I want. What's happening is a little less in your face. They make it a little bit more. They make it a little bit less obvious that certain people are villains because they wanted to play up the romantic reputation of at least one cast member, which I think is a shame because they should just let him play like a truly horrific human being. And it's a good one. The cast is really good. It's well, it's shot fine. Nothing great, pretty standard for the time. But really, Olivia de Havilland gives a fantastic performance. Montgomery Clift is excellent, and her dad is played by Ralph Richardson, and Ralph Richardson is awesome. He is fantastic. He is like such a huge piece of shit in this movie, and he plays it so well. He is such a wonderful piece of shit. And I love Ralph Richardson. I'm going to talk about this because I mentioned the weirdness of Ralph Richardson in a chat to Craig.
Yeah.
Ralph Richardson himself was just I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase it. He was a quirky character. He used to like to, for several acting jobs, and including Terry Gilliam, when he talked to Gilliam to be in Time Bandits, he liked to put directors on the back of his motorcycle. And he always bought the most powerful one he could and race it as fast as he could with them clutching onto his back until they screamed or cried. And how far they went would choose if he did their job or not. He used to take his pet mouse out for strolls. He just did weird things. He's a quirky person, and if you ever look up biographies of him or anything, the phrase you find a lot is the Ralphness of Ralph, because he was just flamboyantly unconventional and never hardened into mere eccentricity. He was just weird and odd and loved being himself. And I have a lot of deep respect for Ralph Richardson because of that. But he's a fantastic actor who definitely deserves a bit more of a look at for these days, because he's long dead, but the man was brilliant, and he left a fantastic back catalog. But de Havilland is excellent, and the fact that she's playing a mousy heiress that people aren't fawning over anyway is kind of crazy to me. But I really like this one. It is well worth looking up and finding. There was just a 4K of it released. I don't remember who did it offhand. It might have been Criterion. It is Criterion. Criterion just released this in 4K. That is on my list to pick up because I'm sure it is just gorgeous. It's just a hell of a two incredible performances, and like Montgomery Clift brings all the charm you would expect from this kind of character. It's really good.
You can go if you want to.
So one thing I realized this week, there will never be a classy like Tyler because this movie is going to go into the category of movies that I respect but don't love. I had a hard time getting into this one, guys. Not going to lie. Story just didn't really grab me at all. Olivia de Havilland is wonderful in it, though. I mean, besides being absolutely gorgeous, she's a great actress, and her performance here is straight up powerhouse level. She's great. But in terms of actual film, there's just so much more that I greatly prefer with her in it. Like Gone with the Wind, for example, which may come as a surprise to people, but I adore A Gone with the Wind and its TV movie Scarlet. I would like to cover those one day on here because I do love Gone with the Wind. It's a great movie. Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, another good one. Lady in a Cage, which I also love. If y'all haven't seen Lady in a Cage, watch it. It's so fucking good, and she's great in that too. Montgomery Clift was good here, though. Like, I don't have a single issue with anybody in the cast. I think everybody's really good here, and visually, it looks fine. Like Dave said, it's standard visual stuff for its time, but it looks good. I don't know. The story just left me kind of cold. I like some of the social class stuff in the script, and the characters are pretty well written and complex. But as a whole, it just didn't really do anything for me. I don't know. I just gonna chalk it up to one of those films where I totally get why it's loved, and I can totally see why Criterion would put this on like 4K and stuff. And I'm sure it's got a huge fan base, but overall, it really wasn't for me. I really wanted to like it, but I'm like, it was like a shoulder shrug after it was over. It was fine, great performance, just story-wise, just kind of cold.
I had this film kind of delivered upon me like some cool, blissful shower after the Brain Fest of last week. So I appreciate that, Craig. This was
No worries.
this was a delightfully unexpected, classier than Kevin choice. Yeah, I really liked it. It's funny because in terms of what I can see from the filmographies of those involved, I haven't seen anything else with them technically, but that's just because I've not watched like Gone with the Wind. I don't think I've rewatched and reviewed Time Bandits. Like there's very few things I've seen and rated, reviewed since I started doing Letterboxd and stuff. That's what's about. Ralph Richardson, it might have been in an animated film that I've seen and rated. It might have been, was it Watership Down or The Plague Dogs? I think it was one of those. So
I think he actually does a voice in both.
All right. I mean, at the moment, that's my only other, I think, Ralph Richardson viewing from stuff like in the past few decades. I can't think of any others, but I'm sure I've seen him in other stuff. Olivia de Havilland is wonderful in this. I'm not going to go on a long and detailed tangent about the life of Montgomery Clift, but I would encourage people to look into that. It's a very sad and painful story, and as I said to you guys on Messenger, it's I've always had a lot of respect for Elizabeth Taylor after hearing about how she, I believe she tried to help him for a long time, and that was another part of the reason she was such a campaigner for certain charities and causes. Anyway, they're all really good here. Dave has made me feel dumb because he said that the source material has villains being obviously over the top villains here, and I got to the end of this, I was still like, are we supposed to be sure about our intentions? Like, are we supposed to be certain? I was on edge. I was satisfied by the ending. I think it's great. I think it's like, for the time, it also feels like a real gut punch of an ending. But up until the very final...
Montgomery Clift's performance in the third act is really good. It sends you in a different direction. You wonder what has... Well, I can't really go into it, but yeah, it's such a strong performance that it. I mean, we could just
put a general spoiler warning here for it and discuss the ending. But yeah, definitely, like for a lot of the film, as Dave said, like Richardson's character is such a shit. So I viewed him as clearly a bad person. He's not doing well by his daughter. He's just every mannerism and every line he speaks to his daughter makes your skin crawl. It just makes you want to pick him up and slap him across the room. And
It's venomous.
He's
Yeah.
worse. The character is worse in the book and the play. And there was a 90s remake
I mean,
under the book title with Albert Finney and
Oh,
Jennifer
like,
Jason Leigh.
I could see this actually, being one that you could remake again and sort out. So yeah, I'm not surprised it was one in the 90s. But Richardson was clearly so loathsome throughout that I was like, right, he's definitely a villain. Montgomery Clift's character was swithering. I thought, and I was like, where is this going? And of course, de Havilland is just quite the constant. And you do, it is hard to see de Havilland as some sort of dowdy, lonely woman who likes to cross stitch or whatever and just keeps herself to herself. But the good thing about having her in that role is in the few moments where she does really kind of blossom, for just having someone that seems to reciprocate a feeling of just warmth and connection. Not even, it doesn't have to be unbridled passion or full on lifelong love. There's just enough there for her to have this spark in her that really changes her, makes her shine there. It's that's the value of having de Havilland in that role, even though we all pretty much agree with like, no. We all agree that nobody would be debating whether or not to ask de Havilland for a dance. But that is why it's worth having her in that role, because she has that moment or two to shine, and she's great all the way through it. But I loved the finale. I really liked Miriam Hopkins was really lovely. I think in her supporting role, she was a lot of fun, and I think she seemed to be trying to be kind but a bit misguided. That's what I got from it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and as I say, especially for it might sound a bit patronizing, but when you get these older movies and when you're going back through a century of cinema or beyond now, whenever you get something that still hits you like this does, it just feels like that more impactful, because you think there's got to be some obvious sugarcoating of the pill, I feel like, because you're like, oh, they were making these movies then that had to be in accordance with whatever set of rules you imagine is there for the playbook, but this doesn't do that, and I was I was genuinely impressed. The ending takes it up a whole notch as well, and it was just it was pretty great.
Woo. Yeah, I had not seen this before. It was actually a joint kind of. It was selected show by me and Mark Scorsese, because I watched a few interviews with him on YouTube where he brought it up as a film that he loved and one that inspired his own films, inspired Age of Innocence and Killers of a Flower Moon. So, if Marty says something's good, it's probably going to be good. And it was better than good. It immediately became one of my all-time favorite cinematic tragedies. It floored me. Like, the stakes are quite small and personal, but it just fucking crushed me. Like, it wasn't the film I was expecting when I went in. I assumed this was going to be Morris's wooing of Catherine, which I guess it is the focus of this chapter of Catherine's life, but it's really just a straw that broke the camel's back. Like, what I like about films like this, I think they kind of aspire to greatness when what they can do is they can tell their story and also paint a really vivid portrait of everything that came before and set it in motion and whatever comes after. And I think the Heiress, it paints a pretty horrendous portrait of just a lifetime of psychological abuse by just the most awful human being. Like, I won't get into it all, but when Austin tries to prove his point to Morris's sister by simply just introducing her to Catherine. And it's one of the most breathtakingly cruel things I've ever seen in a movie. He is a fucking monster. He just introduces her to Catherine as if to say, really, this dullard, you really think your brother was to marry this piece of shit? I could not believe how awful, just fucking awful he was. And this is a character who, when I said it paints a vivid portrait of what came before, I feel like there's this whole other film where he's gradually, step by step, turned Catherine into somebody he hates, just to have somebody to hate, like a living punching bag. He's created this kind of mousy little girl who likes to do I can't remember what it's called, the little sewing doodads. He's turned her into this little punch bag for him to just, break out and beast on every now and then. And then the lack of love in her life, it becomes everyone's undoing in just the most awful way. Just watching her character ice over is just so fucking heartbreaking. Like, she has no capacity for cruelty at the start of that film, none. And Austin turns her into a fucking monster, just like him. I envisioned spoiler alerts. I thought she was going to basically work out some sort of contract where she could keep Morris as a pet for the rest of his life. I thought it was going to get really, really dark. So I'm glad it was slightly more hopeful, I guess. Yeah, the cast are amazing. Like, Montgomery Clift is excellent. Like I was saying, he's very charming. Like, when he's playing these kind of mental chess games with Austin, he's able to do that in front of Catherine because of, his that charm that he's got. And like I was saying to Kevin, like, I think he's so great in that climax because, again, it's a film that sells off-screen time to you and what happens to characters because it's he's been off screen for however years, and the way he plays the character now, you can tell that the years have been hard. Like, they've taken their toll, and you wonder more than you did in the first half. Like, has he realised he's on a good thing? Is it not just about Catherine's money anymore? Could he just want the warmth and kindness that Catherine represents? And he's not getting it. The way the ending plays out, but it's a really, really, really great performance. Ralph Richardson is awful. He's just one of the most awful characters I've ever seen. Just the sly digs, the little passive aggressive digs. He is so spiteful and so cruel, and the way he wields some of the dialogue in this film is it's murder. It's murder by little jibes. It's incredible. De Havilland she's great. She's just very sweet, very relatable. When she says she doesn't speak to people because she cannot imagine why anyone would listen, that just that touched my heart. I understand that so much. Like, Austin has kind of made her feel endlessly uncomfortable in her surroundings by reducing her, like as Morris does. He's reduced her to just heiress, not a person, not a whole human being. She's the heiress, and I think she mistakes that for discomfort in her own skin, and it just, she breaks my heart. It's just a fucking heartbreaking film. Like, when she says the line that he must love me for all those who didn't, I just, the script's great, the dialogue's great. Fucking the line that Richardson comes out with are just awful. I mean, When he mentions right, spoiler, so some spoilers coming again. Finds out he's dying and he's giving out his list of instructions. And he says, "I don't want your Aunt Lavinia in the room at all, unless I should go into a coma." How can you be that much of a dickhead? Like at the end, when he says, "Oh my God," when he says to his daughter, listed these things that are wrong with her and tries to mention this one thing that makes her might actually make her appeal to Morris. He says, "You embroider neatly." The fucking cruelty of that sentence, just like I say, it's breathtaking cruelty. Ugh. Yeah, it hit me really hard, this film. I think it's really good technical, which I believe it won an Oscar for, is fantastic. It really sells the characters. The set design is stunning, especially that little courtyard, which is beautifully shot. I love cinematography here. It's got makes really great use of reflection in the mirrors, much like God damn it, The Servant does just a few years later. It's really well shot. It's really well put together. But really, it's the gut punch of that story. Just it hurt. I thought of very little else after this film ended, and I didn't other films I watched over the next couple of days, because I do wonder if that's why they're disappointed. They couldn't give me what this did, which is just all the fucking feels. So yeah, I was a big fan. So thank you, Martin Scorsese, for pointing me in the right direction, as you always do. Banger. I liked it.
I never would have guessed that. It's that time. You got to pick one. And for me, sorry, T. For me, it's the Heiress.
Same here.
I am going with Confessions of a Brazilian Call Girl.
You knew that was coming, Craig. I'm also going for the Heiress.
I'll let Martin know.
Not just for the
son of a bitch.
For the reason that I was able to multitask just now and message Vicky about your extended fart while we're recording. But that added the bonus point.
Next week, it's up to me and Kevin. I am going with the 1974 neo-noir that stars one of the best actors of his generation. I'm going with Night Moves.
All right, I see what you've done.
Oh, nice. I was going to watch that anyway, so.
I mean, the thing is, I was actually planning on picking this anyway this week.
Yes,
and
I am.
That it ended up being topical.
I'm still actually devastated by that news. This, in our time doing the podcast, we've obviously been there. Well, many great actors have passed away, but I think this is one of the few times where I have thought, yeah, I want to watch everything he's been in now to remember all of his greatness. So I had one in my back pocket ready for some Hackman celebration of a life. It is a newer one though, because I've spent a lot of time in recent years meaning to rewatch Crimson Tide.
Nice.
God, okay, right. You won't want to pick your films now. You want to do it later. It is. I'm sorry, a Vinegar Syndrome special. You know how I am with my collection. I thought there are too many of these films to choose from. And I need to think of another way to select. Take some part in the selection. So what are our names in common? So I've got all of my Vinegar Syndrome films split into KM, DG, TH, and I'm going to send you the pictures, and you will pick one that aligns with your initials.
All right. So what's your pick?
I am picking Candy Snatchers.
Oh,
It's going
nice.
to be my pick. And yeah, I'll send you pics so you can have a peruse and select your picks. I know what Tyler's going to pick already. I looked for all the films that start with a T and an A. Yep, that's Tyler's choice.
Oh fuck! I think I know what it is too.
There was
Awesome.
never any question.
Are you sending? You're sending the pics over, Craig?
I will do. I'm not
Okay.
in any rush now, so yeah, I'll send them over before next week's episode.
Okay. Sure. We're on Instagram, Raiders_of_the_ podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesdays. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment on Kevin's awesome videos weekly. We have a Discord. We have a Blue Sky. We have a profile on fartfantasy.com, thanks to Craig. And you can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
As always,
Woo!
thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, catch you next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Woo!